Mars and Earth were almost identical 70 million years ago. But Mars went through a huge catastrophe 69 million years ago, and even went through another war 1 million years ago. The ruins on Mars and all that, some of them are 65, 70, 80, 100 million years old. The space and all that is at least 1 million years old. Now, according to the Andromedans, the face belongs to a group of Orions. That complex was built by Orions. The pyramids were built by Orions. Now, I understand that there's all kinds of coding and geometrics that go with the pyramids, but according to the Andromedans, and this is something they've done in the past, and many other races do, when they find a planet that they want to inhabit or colonize, and its wobble is so irregular that they can't build anything on it because they don't know 1,000 years to the next whether or not it's going to be destroyed. What they will do to balance the rotation, the orbit of the planet, is put weights on it, like we do with our car tire. These weights are the pyramids. They put them at strategic locations to balance the rotation. This is why the Great Pyramid of Giza is located exactly dead center of all the Earth mass on the planet. It's a weight. That's what it was originally designed to be, was a weight to balance our rotation. So they would have some semblance of order here, that they wouldn't have to worry about it flipping around, orbiting, and pole shifting whenever it wanted to, or wobbling so much like this, that the oceans would just change. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Pyramids on Earth are located in the same part of the hemisphere as the pyramids on Mars?
Yes. Yes, it is. But there are more pyramids on the Earth than there are on Mars. There are a lot in the ocean. Central America.
Right.
We have a lot. Of course, it's, almost 1.5 times the landmass as well. Plus, we have water, which in itself is an incredible amount of weight. I think we have 1.2 trillion square miles of water on the planet. Which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It's 2/3 of the Earth, and less than 1% is drinkable. Another question. Somebody else? Yes, sir.
Can you give us some of your background and how you came into all this information, et cetera, et cetera?
Yes. I guess it's time for that. My contact started when I was 8 years old. I was on a family picnic in Woodstock, Michigan, which is in the upper northern peninsula. I did not remember the contact until I was at the age of 14. I knew, and my parents knew, that something had happened, and the other folks. We went out to play hide and go seek, and the grass was very tall. It was in August. It was like the second or third week of August, just before we all went back to school. And I went to lay down in the tall grass and just to hide. Okay, because we had one of our little cousins, who was a female, we made her red, so she had to go around and find us. And I remember picking up the chestnuts and throwing them because they were chestnuts. And I made this place for me to lay down. Well, I fell asleep. When I woke up, it was night. It was close to 9 o'clock. Now in August, the sun sets late. So I got up and I walked back. I'm approximately 250, maybe 300 yards from the picnic area. There was a police car there, there was a dog in the back, or state police, I think it was, state trooper, because the guy had a big round hat, the funny thing on the top. When I got back, at first they were all glad to see me, and then my mother walloped me. She gave me a spanking. Where have you been? I said, well, I was over there. No, you weren't. We were all looking for you. So I took them back with flashlights to where I was, and sure enough, there was my imprint in the grass, and they swore up and down that they had been all through there, and I wasn't there. It wasn't until age 14 that I realized what had happened. And I was asleep. We were living in Elk Grove Village, Illinois. And I was asleep, and I woke up, and I'm lying on a table, flat on my back, and I'm looking up at this light. And there's a very tall, big guy standing next to me, and a short, tiny one. The tiny one had white skin, bald head, looked sort of oriental, but he wasn't, just very old. And the other guy, the big tall one, was light blue skinned, no hair, but built like a Greek god, like this. I had instantaneous recognition of those two guys, two men. The tall one is Morine. He's 2,300 years old in our time. He's from Andromeda. The short one was Osiris. Now, they don't use names like we use names, but those are names that they gave me so that I could call them to accommodate me. That's how I relate to them. They use symbols. Osiris is 4,300 years old. Actually, he's older, but that's his approximate age. They're incredible. They're absolutely incredible. They're human beings just like us. They evolved. They were part of the Lyran lineage of the human race. And Lyra itself was destroyed in a war. And everybody just scattered and migrated out to survive. And according to them, and this is probably a good time, I don't want to add this before I forget, they say, the Andromedans, based on stories that the ancient Draconians have recorded, that the human race was created by another race called the Batal. Why so much attention to planet Earth? Why us? We're this little speck on the outskirts of the galaxy. Just this little solar system. Well, galactic and intergalactic travel has existed in our universe for 4.4 billion years. Now I'm dealing with linear time, because that's the only way I know how to put it. Many of the extraterrestrial groups that were leaving from their respective star systems, when they would pass through our sector of our galaxy, they would always stop here on Earth. Why? It's beautiful. It's got an abundance of water, which is very rare in our galaxy. It has vegetation and life forms, unlike most other places. And not only that, it was far enough away that they could literally do anything they wanted, and nobody would say anything. It was like a retreat. And they would fly through here, stay 50 years, which is, if you live a lifespan of several thousand years, it's just a weekend. You know, even though it's 50 years to us, it's almost a lifetime. And they would just play on it. Genetically alter this, genetically alter that. They would pick up other life forms as they were exploring. They would drop them off and see if they would evolve here, if they could exist. They tinkered. They did all kinds of things. Now, ETs don't value gold and silver or diamonds. They're not into that. What they're into are genetics. That's their valuables. Life forms. And we're now moving in that direction ourselves, our scientists. Okay. Well, what's happened is, according to the Andromedans, us, Terrans, Earth human beings, physical forms that we now have ourselves, is a direct result of the genetic manipulation of at least 22 different races, extraterrestrial races, who tinkered with us. This is why we have approximately 22 different body types on the planet. Now, when I'm talking about body types, different physical and genetic and chemical structural makeups on the planet. There are 22. This is why we have so many different races. that have different physical features. Now, because of this manipulation, what's happened is that we, as a planetary race, have become this like Pines 57. We have inside of us the genetic as well as racial memories of at least 22 different extraterrestrial races. Which means that we can physically bond or give birth or create with almost any specific species out there, with exception of the greys. Well, actually, to some degree we can with the greys, and the insectoid races. We can't mate with them.
Wow.
But we can with almost any other form, including reptilian. Just a few alterations in our DNA, and it's done. We're the only ones. Now, this is also the only planet in our galaxy where you have so many different races together. Now, what's happened, and I'll give you the example of Andromeda. The Andromedans are a human race, but they have been so pure, so clean in their DNA, in their genetic melding with the same race, that they are now starting to see signs of genetic breakup. In other words, the line is starting to show some genetic weakness. The Pleiades will experience this in 1 million years. They will start to see it. The Greys are already experiencing it. And there are other races as well, primarily human races, where this is happening, where the genetic material is starting to break down because of so much interbreeding within the same race, the same family. Follow me so far? There's only one race that can add this genetic boost, the new genetic material, to help them, and it's us. But they can't use our DNA, they can't use our physical structures because of our consciousness. We vibrate at such a low level. They can't use it. Plus, they just can't come down here and steal it like the Greys did, because it's a violation of free will. Which is the number one law. Do not violate free will. Number two, do not interfere or intervene with an evolving race unless you are asked. Of course, we have been. We have been for the last 5,000 years. Majorly manipulated as a planetary race. So, this is why there's so much attention here. Now, the negative forces, and I include the world government in this, are doing everything they can to keep us down, to keep us negative, to keep us divided, warring with each other, all of that. They're doing an excellent job. The benevolent ones, however, want us to come together as a race. They want us to move into an unconditional love or an unconditional responsibility space. But they have to do it in such a way that we think it's our idea, because they can't violate our free will. Does everybody follow that so far? So, it's a hell of a situation. It's really complicated. I wish I could say it's black and white, and there it is, but it isn't. It's a very complicated thing. Now, because of the Grey intervention, and because our government, basically the secret government, sold us out, it has forced all of us to evolve now, instead of on a planetary level, on an individual level. Where each one of us has to go inside, and we have to look at ourselves and say, who the hell am I? What am I doing with my life? Is this really what I want to do? Am I really happy with all this?